Okay, so today I'm really grateful to the counseling department and to our guest speaker. They've carved out a wonderful next step. This is such an important year and it's such an important time in the year for college, career, and life readiness. So what you're going to receive tonight is a beautiful roadmap. I'm sure you received the newsletter that came out not too long ago that went over what's needed for freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. So again, grateful for the counseling department for the work that they're doing in really trying to make this roadmap visible and clear about the partnership that is needed with you to meet our students' needs. When I started this year, I spoke to each of the classes as the new president. And what I said to the juniors, each class had a message. And what I said to the juniors was, prepare the way. Prepare the way. This is a big year for them. It's a stressful year for them. They learned so much this year about themselves. They were told to dive deep. Dig deep, dive deep. They were also told that we got you. You're okay. We got you. So I think that's an important message to remember as we go through. I wanted to highlight just a few important parent engagement dates that are coming up for the remainder of this year before you dive into junior college readiness. In the e-news today and in your packet are volunteer and service opportunities. With our new event coordinator here at Bellarmine, we have been able to create a centralized hub for parent, volunteer, and engagement. And so many of you have asked along the way. And so please go to that site, that QR code, to see what volunteering opportunities might be available, service opportunities that might be a good fit and passion for you. So we're very excited to launch that. I wanted to highlight that we have Catholic School Weeks coming up, and so be looking for that in e-news. There's going to be lots of events, especially for our juniors. March 11th, there's an important parent education night. We have been working with Dr. Pope from Stanford around well-balanced students. So she's been doing some in-depth work here with faculty and staff. We had to reschedule our March 11th night because Dr. Pope had COVID, I believe. She got sick with COVID. So we rescheduled that. So we now have that scheduled for March 11th. So be looking for that. It was also in today's parent e-news. Today's parent e-news is chock full of good information. So be sure to look at it. And lastly, March 23rd is our Bellarmine Gala. This is our most significant, most important community fundraising evening, and we would love to have you all there, whether it be for a table or a ticket. It's all about cultivating and building community, and that's really important that our junior parents come together and can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Thank you, parents. Thanks for being here. Thank you, counselors. Have a great evening.
Okay, so I am Cameron Irving. I'm sure I've probably met some of you before. If you had children here in the past, you probably met me and attended some of these nights. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I know that there's a game going on and a lot of people didn't want to come because of that. And I heard there was a rumor going around that we were persisting on with this because Mr. Scotty is an Oregon Beaver and Dr. Goodsell is a duck and I am a Trojan. But I promise you that's not the reason why. There's a lot of coordination that takes place with events at Bellarmine just to kind of get spaces and all the moving parts and guest speakers and things. That is not the reason why we continued on. It's because of all the coordination that takes place to plan these events. So we're super happy that you guys are here. Just for the record, I have two brothers that are Huskies, and one of them has been texting me furiously, and he's mad at me that I'm here instead of watching the game right now. So just to give you an overview for tonight, the first thing that we're going to cover is who we are and what our mission is as the college counselors here at Bellarmine. And just navigating the admission process, we're going to go over that with you. Our guest speaker is going to talk to you guys about that. We're going to go over School Links, our new program that we've been using in place of Naviance. We're going to go over testing information and what the place of testing is now that the landscape's been changing a little bit. College info sessions and how we handle those at Bellarmine and how the visits work and all the college fairs that are around our area. I'm going to talk to you about dual credit information and how that works at Bellarmine. We're going to talk about activities and scholarships. We're going to go over NCAA information, and then we'll have some more additional information, which sounds ambiguous, but I promise all shall be revealed. So just to talk about our mission as counselors. Our job is to provide support to your students, but also to you as parents, helping your students navigate this process. We want to help your students grow through the transition from being teenagers to being a young adult, right? These are crucial years that they're in right now. By assisting with thoughtful planning and decision making and skill building, but we also want them to take ownership of this process. So really it's about teaching your child to become an adult and take the reins on this process. So think of it as driver's training, right? When you're driver's training, there's that wheel there that the driver instructor, which is you guys and us, can hang on to if they start to kind of veer off course, but really they're driving the car. So we really want them to take ownership of this process. And you guys and us are there to kind of help support if they are driving too fast or if they're kind of going completely in the wrong lane, right? We really want to aim to consider the family's needs and to ease your stress as parents. We don't want you to be the manager. You should not be running this process. I think one of the things that is probably most distressing to us as counselors is when we see parents completely running the show. That should not happen. We want your child to be doing that. You should be consulting, not managing, okay? We help manage and match students with colleges that are their best fit. It might not always be the dream that parents had when they were 5, but we want to try and match them with the best fit for them. That's the school that we feel like and they feel like we are going to thrive best at, okay? For their graduation success and beyond, where they're going to thrive in their career and what their vision is for their future. And of course, consulting with you about this as well. We offer information and assistance in a timely manner. That's an expectation for us. So if you feel that we're not doing that, please talk to us. We want to hear that feedback from you, okay? So that's our mission. These are all things that we want to hit on. All right, so with that, we are going to turn it over to our guest speaker, who is Claire Silva. She's going to talk about navigating the college admissions process, and Claire is the Associate Director of Admissions from Gonzaga University. So let's give her a warm welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I am Claire Silva, and I'm from Gonzaga University. Just happy to be here with you tonight. Thank you for being here. I am grateful I have the opportunity. I have been in college admissions for 16 years now, so we don't have so short, so sorry. Just wanting to help. This process is a lot, and Cameron just talks about gave some really great tips, and I'm going to cover some of what she talked about in regards to the parent role, what we look for in the college admissions process, the timelines that we go through the admissions process, some key questions that we get along the way, and then just next steps that can be helpful. There's so many options out there for college, and there's so many amazing options, and so helping prepare and plan now can make the process much less daunting. So we give advice for our families who have students who are going through the process, and these are some tips that we give, and some of these are what Cameron just spoke to, is really that idea of being a supporter in this process and helping students understand, are the schools that they're looking at going to have what they need? First and foremost, do they have the academic programs that they're looking for? Or is your student looking specifically for a certain niche program? That can be helpful. There's so much information out there, and helping guide students with that supportive role can be really, really helpful because they have so much coming at them. Families and students are busy. You have school, you have projects work, you have sports and music and the arts and clubs and your work and your job. So being able to break this down and start early really, really helps. One of the things that can be really helpful this time of year is if students are starting to build their list, if you all are starting to look at options now, taking a look at visiting colleges and or doing their virtual opportunities. One of the things that happened through COVID is we all became very savvy virtually, and providing opportunities virtually is something that we're still doing as universities. So if you're not ready to quite, take that trip yet, there's some great info sessions at schools, virtual campus tours that students can take, and you can sit down if you have an evening and take one. We have residence hall tours, we have campus tours, we have information nights. Sometimes schools will have specific virtual info nights. We have a FAFSA night coming up for our seniors, just helping them understand the changes to the FAFSAs for students and families. So just keeping an eye out for those types of opportunities. This can be a good time for that. And then just asking the questions that students may not be thinking about. And you have an incredible college counseling team here at Bellarmine, and they're going to help your students think about these things as well as they're building their college list. But asking the questions about financial aid and scholarships, and what school might have, admission-specific programs, or test option. What schools are test optional? So these are just some ways to be of support. Okay, so I think this can be really helpful as you're looking at colleges, knowing what we look for when we are evaluating students for admission. Some schools will use some of this, they may use all of this, these different criteria. They may label it slightly differently. These are the terminologies we use at Gonzaga, so I'm going to just go from here. But know that this is, in some form, this is what many schools are looking at when we're evaluating your students for admission to the university. We use what's called a holistic review process, and it includes the following. We're looking heavily at student strength of curriculum. That is huge. It tells us how students are preparing for the rigors of college coursework. Bellarmine has excellent coursework available here through AP, honors, dual enrollment courses, which the counseling team is going to speak more to that as we go. So that is really valuable for us in knowing if your student will be prepared. Grades and grade trends are really, we like to see upward or steady grade trends opposed to a downward trend. Part of this process is looking at students, and we want to set your students up for success as well, and saying, okay, is this student going to be academically successful and prepared at Gonzaga? So these are the things that we're looking at that help us and guide us in that decision. Activities and honors, what your students involved in your school and community. Kind of building the resume now is really helpful, so it's not overwhelming when it gets to that activities section on the application. We're looking at quality of writing in the application. We're looking at a letter of recommendation. We require one letter of recommendation. Some schools will require that, some schools will not. We're also looking at character, which is through that recommendation. And then some schools will require SAT, some will not. At Gonzaga, we are test optional. Students do not need an SAT or ACT. And I will speak more to that, but I know Mrs. King is going to cover some stuff on testing later as well. Okay, I'd like to just run through some of the deadlines and processes that and terminologies that schools use that can be really helpful. So universities will have different types of admission processes. One, polling, and a pooling admission and deadline-based admission. Pooling, deadline, and or rolling admission. So basically, there's schools that will collect all the decisions at once, evaluate all the applications, and send decisions all at once. That's how we do it at Gonzaga. That process takes a little bit longer than rolling admission. So rolling admission, typically a student will apply to a university and they will hear back with a decision from the school within 2 to 3 weeks. In a pooling or deadline-based admission school, it will take longer. It doesn't mean the school wants that university wants your student less than the other university. It's just the process, and a lot of times it depends on how many applications a university receives, and it's just the processing and functions of each university. So just making it complicated for all of you. I'm so sorry. Everyone's kind of different in their deadline process. So types of admission that you'll hear, terminologies, you'll hear early action, maybe early decision, regular decision. The one that you really need to keep an eye out for is early decision, and that is meaning a school provides that deadline, or your student is applying early decision. If they are admitted, the school will give them an early deadline to confirm their enrollment at that school. So they will say, okay, you applied early decision, we're going to admit you. We ask that you let us know by January 1st or February 1st that you will enroll at our university, or the offer is no longer on the table. And And so they ask that that early decision process will be typically November 1st, this typically deadline, some of October these days. So those can be really, really early. Early action is a non-binding process. So that one is different than early decision. That one, your students can apply early, typically in that October to December range, and they will typically get a decision back early, meaning a lot of times it's in the December timeframe when decisions will come out for early action and early decision. Regular decision is typically in spring, early spring, mid-February or mid-January through mid-February. So just looking at the deadlines and knowing that's going to come, but it's helpful to just familiarize yourself with different terminologies for deadlines. Types of college applications. Some universities will use their own application. At Gonzaga, we use what's called the Common Application. There's nearly 1,000 different colleges now that use the Common Application. Students fill out one application on the Common App and can submit it to any of those schools. That can be incredibly helpful. There's also an application called the Coalition Application. So really, as you go through the process, figuring out what applications each school uses is really helpful and can help alleviate a lot of doing multiple applications. You don't have to. Knowing when and how admission decisions are sent. It used to be that you were waiting for a decision to come in the mail. Now, a lot of times, colleges will have a student portal. Students will log in, they'll get an email, and it'll say their admission decision, their status been changed to their application, and so they can check their admission decision. That is how we do it now. We let students know electronically first, they sign into their portal, they can get their admission decision, and then it is followed by something in the mail. So every school will have different, but just understanding how those decisions will be coming can be really helpful in alleviating that stress as well. And then just knowing when students need to confirm their enrollment at the schools they're admitted to. And typically that date is May 1st. So questions we often get asked, does your college super score? What does that mean? And Mrs. Keene will talk probably a little bit more about this, but super scoring really allows us to take the best, give your student the best advantages possible if they are taking SAT, taking the best section of evidence-based reading and writing and math and combining their highest scores that they took the test multiple times. And so a lot of schools will super score. Some schools will super score the SAT, but they won't super score the ACT. So understanding which schools do that. At Gonzaga, we do super score both. Are the teacher recommendations really important? We get this question oftentimes from teachers too, but yes, if a school is asking for a teacher recommendation, then we read them, and they are. If a school is test optional, should a student still submit a test score? This is a question that is a hard one to answer, though. If a school is test optional, they are truly test optional. Gonzaga went test optional. Partially, we were looking at going test optional prior to COVID. COVID just kind of bumped it along because students just weren't able to take the test. We were finding that for our students specifically, the GPA was a higher indicator of college success at Gonzaga. So schools will have different research and different reasonings for this. But if a school is test optional, it truly is test optional. They're not trying to play games and having students to give an extra edge if you submit a score or if you don't. So how it will work is really, we're just going to be looking at more so what the students have actually shown us in high school, what classes they've taken, their GPA, their grade trends, all of those things are what we're going to look at, and we'll put more weight into that. If a student chooses to submit their SAT scores, that's great, and that's fine, and we can give it advice on that. So if students are like, should I submit my test scores? I am happy to talk about that. I will ask some follow-up questions, and I can say, okay, this might be a good decision to submit or might not be. A lot of, I think in general terms, students who maybe have a lower GPA and their test scores are high, that can help balance out their GPA, but even if their GPA is really low, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to bounce up that much. And every school is going to be different, so it's important to just talk to your college professionals at each institution, and that can be helpful. They can kind of shed some light on how it works at their school. And then, is it better to take AP and honors and get a lower GPA versus, taking regular classes and getting a higher GPA? We get this question a lot. I mentioned curriculum and coursework and rigor as the first thing when I spoke to what we evaluate students for an admission. So it truly is We do value strong coursework, AP, honors, dual enrollment courses. Those are, we like to see that because we know it is preparing students well for college coursework. But we say, I think finding balance is really important. So taking, challenging students where they thrive and they can be really successful. And they don't have to take all AP and honors. Please don't. We don't want to see the GPA completely plummet. But if you're gonna be in an AP class, that's okay. Like it's okay. So where we start to see a lot of C's and below, that's where we would get concerned. Okay. Really quickly, helping bring joy to this process as much as possible. It is overwhelming. It can be stressful, but it's also exciting. It's such a great adventure. There's so many opportunities out there. I also like to bring up just the note on college acceptance rates. The national average of college acceptance is in the 70%. So schools like to say yes more than they say no. Gonzaga's acceptance rate is closer to 70% as well, 65 to 70%, depending on the year. A lot of people might feel that might be surprising. So just recognizing that there are a lot of really great options that are accessible, and really, really good options. Curating that college list, which I think Mrs. Wilson's going to talk to you a bit more about coming up, and scheduling visits if you can. Start thinking about what's going to work out either this year or next year as you have all your family planning. And then connecting with us. Show interest. Sign up for the mailing list that we offer if your student truly is interested. That's a great way to just stay up to date on what's happening. And then Common App opens, just a tip, August 1st. So it can be really helpful to get in there and peek at what the colleges are asking, or have your students jump in there early before school really ramps up. So that's what I have for you. I know that there's more to go, but my name's Claire again. I have business cards at the front if you'd like to take one. I'm happy to be a resource, even if your student is not applying to Gonzaga or attending Gonzaga at all. We understand it can be a lot and just want to support as well. So thank you for being here tonight.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Mrs. Wilson, and I'm going to talk to you today about school links. So many of you may have heard that we were going to transition into this new college search program. If you had students who attended here prior, then they were on Naviance, and so now we're on schooling. So I'm actually show you a little bit of its features here in a minute, but I wanted to review with you what we've been helping your students to do thus far. So by now, your junior year student should have logged on to School Links, created their account. Just as an FYI to you all, parents and guardians also have access to School Links, so you should be able to get on there with your own access. Just by going to the login and accessing it with your My Bellarmine email. So that same email should work for that as well. If you have issues, just let us know. So then you can also monitor and see what your student is working on and get in there and play along with the features as well. We've also encouraged your student by now to take in the Find Your Path assessment, which allows them to explore careers that are specific to their interests. And they also have the feature of being able to keep their resume up to date by adding activities that they are doing each year. And then also using that template as a working resume that they can use for internships or jobs as they're looking into those in the spring and into the summer. And then there's also an option to start looking at scholarships. Mrs. Irving keeps that scholarship tab up to date with scholarships that are local as well as national. And so students can start looking into that and making a plan for scholarships. It's never a bad idea for students to start looking into that now, junior year, and kind of making a plan, checking out dates as they come up so that you're not missing any crucial scholarship opportunities. And then there's also a unique feature on there that's called the financial aid unit. You can explore that tab as well in School Links. Just gives you more information about financial aid, how that may or may not work in your favor, what is need, and helps the students start thinking that through in terms of their college plans. So with that in mind, I just wanted to show you School Links feature. So this is what your student will see when they log in. And you can see here, we assign different tasks so students can see what they have upcoming to do, and then once they have completed it, it's check mark. Like I mentioned in the beginning, students can take the career assessment. So those are activities that they can redo as much as they want, just to see how they've grown and changed since freshman year. And so they can go on here and retake any of these assessments, like Find Your Path, social emotional learning, identifying your learning style, and discovering your campus lifestyle. Any of these they can take. Also, I thought this was a cool feature, but they have these learning skill building tools on here as well that students can take on their own time, at their own leisure, just to help with that development. A lot of times, sophomore year, junior year, sometimes students still are like, I don't know what I want to do, I'm still so lost. And so these are features and activities that they can do to kind of help identify some of those areas. And then one of the main features is the school search. So students can start exploring different colleges here, all from the comfort of their home. So if we were to take a look at Gonzaga, you can click on there for no particular reason. And it will give you a nice overview of the school. Shows you that great 76% acceptance rate, all right, 75% graduation rate, shows you the ranking, total enrollment. So this is a good way for students to start educating themselves and saying, why I want to go to this school, what does this school have to offer me, is it a good fit? Does it have the programs that I might be looking for? And then if they do like it, it also has videos and clips that they can explore in here, but then they can favorite it, and then it goes to their ongoing list of schools that they are considering. So by senior year, they can start going off that list, and that will help them make their college plan that we later have them do. And so if they utilize this tool right, all the information they need to create that college plan later is here for them. Also, here's where you can do that college financing and scholarship matching. And then another feature I thought that was fun, we have the sophomores do is the game of life, where they can kind of start playing around with careers, seeing how much they would make with a salary, how does that money go in terms of expenses and your finances, and start really getting a real look of what it means to adult, right? So this is what your student is able to utilize Schoolings for, and then as they transition into senior year, we use this search engine to also help them apply to their colleges. So they will then match their Common App with Schoolings, so all the schools they are applying to in Common App will show up here, and then this is how we send their supporting documents. So letters of rec, their transcripts, school reports is all sent through this program. Okay. So I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what they are seeing and what we've been helping them to do thus far. All right, so with spring assignments coming up, your student will now be meeting with their counselors for their junior meetings. So we've already been in junior formations to give them the same information, but as well as after the finals, they will be coming to meet with us for their individual junior meetings. So these take place in the mornings, lunches, and after school. They're typically 20 to 30 minutes. And this is a great way for students to start talking about that college process with us, start getting some information, ask good questions. This is also an opportunity for you as the parent to send those questions along. It's not uncommon for parents to reach out ahead of those meetings and say, hey, I know you're talking to my student today, just want to give you a heads up. These are some of the things we've been talking about and exploring. Can you also cover that with them? We're open to those conversations and welcome those. So junior meetings are also something that if you feel like you want to be a part of, you can also do that as well. Okay, so I just want to really encourage parents to utilize us as a resource, reach out if you have questions or concerns, because we are available for that. So email, we can also set up Zoom meetings, but we really want to have that open dialogue with you regarding your student and this process. Also, students can start researching colleges. Like Claire mentioned, it's great to start doing those college visits. There's never a bad time to do those. I had a senior parent ask if they were too late to do those. And I said, no. I think it's great for you to start doing the research you can that is available to you through schoolings, online, college tours. But then when you have a chance to be able to go and see those schools in person, that's great too, okay? A lot of students might even think about applying to schools, and then once they get acceptances, going to go see those schools in person. So there's no wrong way to do it, but it is great when you have the opportunity to see those schools. If not, there's also lots of virtual opportunities. And then we also have college visits that come here on campus. So juniors are welcome to start attending those as well. Over 100 schools visit. So their college reps come here in person, they meet with students, they answer questions, they bring out the materials, and they share background information about their school. So it's a great opportunity for students to learn firsthand about schools that they might not be able to go and see in person, and also meet those reps that are potentially going to read their apps face to face. So encourage your students to sign up for those. A lot of those take place during lunch, so first and second lunch. And then finally, we encourage students to start their final list of colleges. We have an application plan that they will complete as a step towards their senior meeting in preparation for applying to colleges. So with that, we encourage them to start looking at what that list is going to look like. So we have students think about 6 to 8 schools typically. You can have more. We have students apply to more all the time. We will support you in that process, but we are going to have you consider, why are you applying to this school? Why is this school a good fit to you? Is this school a reach school or a safety school? All right, is this an in-state school or an out-of-state school? Does this school have your major that you're particularly thinking about? So having students really take control of that part of this process and really understand why they're applying to a school. All right, a student might say, I want to go to Pepperdine, right? They need to tell you more than it's just because it's in Malibu, right? You want to know why you want to go to Pepperdine, okay? So just in reiterating that fit idea, this is something that we really go over with students, all right? So just thinking about these different categories, outside of academics, GPA, what else is this school offering? Why does this school stand out to you? Thinking about class sizes, all right? Climate, student culture, diversity might be important to you. Do they have the major or the programs that your student is going to want to attend or be a part of? Is location or distance important to you, right? Being able to come home on the weekends or holidays, is that important? All right, does the admission criteria fit something that you are able to meet, right? Is this school looking for a student like you, right? These are things that we talk to the students about, okay? So these are conversations that you want to consider with your students as well and helping them kind of narrow down their options for college, okay? Not just about academics, but also the broader picture of how is this going to fit for your student. All right. And then summer before senior year. So like I mentioned, senior surveys. This is really important. This is available on School Links for your student. It's actually available for juniors right now, so they can take a look at it. But we really do have them work on this towards the end of the year and over the summer. It's where they're going to fill this out that gives us that background information on your student. So on average, most of us have about 75 students. We've been working with your students from freshman year for most of them. And so we know in general a lot of information about them, but we don't know everything, okay? We don't know all the details, all their extracurriculars, all the things they might have been doing for service or volunteer. And so this is where they're going to outline all those things so that we can make sure we capture all those great highlights about your student and their journey in their letter of recommendation, okay? Just an FYI, this is not viewed by the colleges, but this is something that only your counselor will have, and then we have another form that students will complete for teachers as they ask for their letters of recommendation. And on average, most students will require one teacher letter. So, and those, we ask them to utilize their junior year teachers from a core class. So math, science, English, social studies, all right? And then some of your colleges may require two. So they will also find that information out, okay? And then this is to be completed by the end of junior year. All right, and then they will work on this over the summer as well. Application plan, like I mentioned, is just for them to start organizing all their schools and have it in one place. When they meet with us for their senior meeting, we will review that list and make sure it's appropriate, make sure they kind of thought things through, make sure they have an accurate list of breaches, safeties, and maybe schools, okay? And then we do encourage at least one in-state school as well. So they are expected to have that ready to go in addition to their senior questionnaire by the time they are ready to schedule their senior meeting. Okay? And senior meetings need to be scheduled with us at least 1 month prior to their earliest deadline. So you heard Claire mention that earlier deadlines can be as early as October 15th. That means your senior would need to come and meet with us by September 15th so that we can verify their college list, and then we can prepare ourselves to meet those deadlines, i.e. letters of rec, transcripts, so that they're all there in time. Okay? So those meetings are very important and they're required for each senior. All right, and then lastly, you heard that was mentioned, utilizing the Common App. So that is a college application tool that most students will use, if not applying directly to a school or utilizing the Coalition app. And so we have students match that with their schoolings so that, again, we can monitor the schools they're applying to and send documents via school links. And so they will be able to create their account as early as August 1st and start adding schools to that Common App application. In order to match, they will need to complete the FERPA, so that's waiving their right to see documents. So we have students do that. They are not able to see their letters of rec, okay? So we keep those private, and that eliminates any bias. So we can say that students didn't have any influence on their letters, that we wrote those authentically to schools. And then they will connect those with their school links, okay? I know you guys are writing, it's a lot of information, so just a reminder, this is being recorded, so you will be able to go back and see this recording at any time if you need to get this information. And again, we welcome you to reach out to us for any clarifying information or questions. Okay? Thank you for your time. And next, I'm going to invite Mrs. Keys.
Here. Anybody piping in the game in their little AirPod or something on the side or checking their phone?
Nope.
Distracted. Well, I'm Katie King, and I am the testing coordinator for some of you who don't know that already. Okay, so I'm always monitoring the landscape around admissions and testing, and there has been some movement lately. I want to piggyback on what Claire has shared. Long before the pandemic, the test scores were already being researched and questioned because of the disparity, and that they may have caused. And colleges dropped the SAT and ACT requirements during pandemic, and many stuck with that test optional policy in an effort to be equitable and diverse. However, now it seems ongoing research continues and test scores are being considered. They're, with some importance. So it really depends on the college, and some colleges, particularly more Ivies, are using them as predictive information on the applicant's readiness that grades alone do not produce. And that is because they will claim grade inflation. So, all of that considered, I feel like the pendulum has kind of swung a little bit back to the middle. So we continue to watch that and monitor that, and we encourage you to do that as well, particularly with the schools that your student will be applying to. One of the great tools that we have out there is a company that puts together fairtest.org. We now see 1,900, this is up a little bit from last year, colleges and universities that are test optional, with 80 of them being test free for the 2024 admission cycle. So again, check details on the websites for the colleges to make that right choice for your student. With so many being optional, some students will choose not to test. So that's going to have to be a decision you'll have to make. We recommend these next steps. So the first thing, if you decide and deem testing important, because not every student knows exactly where they're going to apply at this point in the year, before application season begins, we do recommend that you consider a test. So both the SAT and the ACT are widely accepted, doesn't matter which one, both standardized. And we do that in the spring of the junior year, traditionally. Then we encourage test prep. We want to share that all of this process should conclude before October. If you push that out any further than that, you will probably not get a test score back in time for your application deadline, and deadlines require everything submitted at that time for consideration. Okay, so there's some great information out there on the universities. If you want to Google their common data set for their acceptance scores, you can see specifically how many students get accepted with scores or without, and what their scores are. We also recommend that registration for those SATs or ACT happen early. They will fill up, I guarantee you, if you postpone it. And testing sites are becoming harder to get into. So with that being said, I want to offer some opportunities. As you do consider prepping for the test with your student, there's many, many ways to do this. Self-study and Khan Academy, free options. Your student took the PSAT and can now go into College Board and link it to Khan Academy, which is a great resource. There's also one-on-one tutoring, there's small group tutoring, and private groups, larger groups, online groups, books. Something that I appreciate is a boot camp. And this is from tutors across America. We've invited them to come March 15th through the 17th. It's a 3-day weekend, and you might have already received a postcard or an email from them offering their option. It's an opportunity for your student to get half of a test in. So it's not official. They'll take half of an ACT, half of an SAT to determine which one they do better on, because students tend to lean one way or the other. And then they will give them skills and tools to be able to help them prepare for the test better. The price they offer it to us for is $199 with their discount code. I also put that into the newsletter, so if you're looking for more details, refer back to the Counseling Connection newsletter for the Tutors Across America information. And then also we'll be sending out more boosts through an email so you can get that information. It's $199 for this. I think it's about 20 hours of prep time. And if that's a problem, we offer scholarships, so it's completely equitable for everyone. We don't want to hinder anyone from being prepared. There's also other resources that we provided in your packet. So, of course, it's not the be-all, end-all list. There's others that you should consider too, depending on how your student studies best and prepares. So, Mimi Beck is very popular around here with our students. So feel free to explore all the options and see which one is the best fit for you. When our students did the PSAT in October here at school, their scores came back above national average, so that's reassuring. They might have already shown you the score. You have access to that through College Board. They also can access it through bigfutureschool.com. And they can get it from me if they need to. When they saw their PSAT report, they would have been given a total score up to 15, 20, and then they break down two areas of subjects. So you've got the reading, writing, and then you'll have the math. If you're feeling that this national average or our Bellarmine average still seems a little bit low, just be assured that the information taught on these standardized tests really goes all the way through their junior year. So at this point, they may not have learned all the material. It also reflects that studying and prepping for these things is really key. The juniors also qualify, possibly based on their index score, for the National Merit Scholarship. And the students who scored in the top 3 to 4% of our state are often commended, and they'll receive that recognition letter in the fall of their senior year. So they won't know yet. The semifinalists that are in the top 1% of the state are also going to hear back from College Board in the fall. This is definitely harder to achieve, and there's some other steps that will follow once they notify your students. So if they were a semifinalist, there's going to be an application for them to complete. They'll write an essay, which isn't a very big one, and take the SAT to move on. But I'm proud to say we did have one last year continue on. So he is attending via a scholarship this year. So just remember, you can retake either the SAT or the ACT multiple times. To make it convenient for you, we are going to offer the SAT in school here at our site for just our Bellarmine juniors on April 13th. So it will be a Saturday. They can sign up with us. This is not going to be on College Board's website because it's not open to the public. So we will send out registration inquiries in probably February. Mr. Salazar will be leading that. And that just allows a couple weeks after the boot camp and prep time. So it should really work well together. Keep in mind, you can also retest again if you wanted to in later summer or very early fall. We will offer the SAT again in the fall in October as we have this year. So that'll be another opportunity to consider. Some schools, as that says, will super score, and Claire mentioned that. They'll take the best score of each section from different dates, while others may want to see all the scores. So it is their discretion. So take into consideration ultimately your application deadlines to make sure that the test scores are back to you in time and everything is in by the deadline. Okay? Going to introduce Mr. Scotty. Would you like to come on up? Talk about college.
Okay, so you guys hear a beaver that doesn't dag those eyes over there. How did you guys do today, by the way? Anybody know? Third quarter. We don't know. We're recording. Sorry. Well, you guys beat us by 2 points, so I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to talk about college visits, fairs, info sessions. So my name's Chris Scotty, by the way. I know last time when I came out here, there was a parent that said, "We don't know you." I'm fairly new. This is my 3rd year here at Bellarmine, and I also do military academies and ROTC and kind of their liaison. So every March, right before spring break, we usually have a informational meeting for students that are interested in academies and going into ROTC. So we will have a date set on that, but I wanted to let you know if students are interested, they can already come and talk to me about some contacts. We're going to have I have 4 contacts with Air Force Academy, ROTC representative that's at PLU, West Point, Navy Academy, and the Coast Guard Academy. So we have 4 representatives that have students that have went here that come every year, and it's just a great relationship. So if your student is interested, please know that we're going to have that information being very informative. Okay, so college info sessions. So we get around 100 college visits at Bellarmine in the fall. Often the person who reads the applications is present at these visits. And your student can attend during the day by, as you saw before, School Links has an area where they can sign up. They sign up through School Links, and the college visit schedule is updated daily throughout the fall. Sometimes we have to change schedules, but usually when they sign up, it's pretty consistent that they can come in, get a note from their teacher, and they'll be able to attend the visit with the college counselor. Many times the college counselors here, they can ask, there's lots of good information, and students come in, I've recognized this, especially this last year, students come in with a lot of great questions, so we just want to keep that momentum, and the students that come, they should be interested in seeing the schools. They shouldn't be coming in if they're, just trying to get out of class. So, but a lot of times, I don't think that we've had that issue, which is really good to see. I think we have students coming in that are, really interested in learning about the college. Okay, visiting campuses. So, yeah, ideally we want, families, students to go when there's a break of some kind, a spring break, a 3-day weekend, mid-August. We'd rather see students attend the schools or visit the schools when they're in session, as opposed to the summertime when there's not a lot of activity. I think it's really good to see firsthand what the student, walking around campus is really active. And also to kind of, that's a really good way to see their fit as well. You can get a feeling for, is this the climate culture that I want to, where I want to attend? Maybe even Mrs. Wilson mentioned Pepperdine. You kind of get lost in being in Malibu. I would agree with that. But I went there one time to do a camp. It was summertime. It's much different when the students are there. So that's really what we would prefer, that they go there, when they can see the active students walking around. You want to seek a variety of colleges to find the best fit for your student. I think, when you're looking at these trips, sometimes it's not feasible to do that. We get that. School Links is an opportunity so you can see a lot of schools without having to go there. A lot of my students already, my seniors, are saying, you know what, when I get accepted, or if I get accepted, I think that's when I'm going to actually visit, and that's okay as well. You could also consider registering on the website for a scheduled visit. Sometimes there's a tour that takes you around. I went to about 8 different schools in Colorado for a Jesuit tour that we did with the school counselors there. And I can tell you that each school that we had a tour with, we learned a great deal. Each time we went to every one of these schools, we learned so much. Even being somebody that has already went to school, especially Air Force Academy. There is Colorado State Boulder. This is during the whole, big football, talk about football, the big rush of, what University of Colorado has right now. It's bringing a lot of students in, just because of the athletic program. So it's just a different atmosphere. And so people sometimes, get caught up in that and that excitement. So really looking at your fit is, going to campus when things are going on is important. Okay, college fair. So we have about 4 different organizations that you can actually go virtually to see what's going on, or in person. And there's websites for all 3. the NACAC, we call it NACAC, National Association of College Admission Counselors. Some of those, you can meet over 200 colleges at one time. And there's a website for that, nacacattend.org/fairs. There's the PACMAC, PNAC, sorry. PNACMAC. Oh my gosh. Sound like Aflac. So Pacific Northwest College Fair, there's over 80 colleges. And then we have here at Bellarmine our Jesuit Excellence Tour with about 15 or so, give or take, Jesuit schools that come here during the spring. That's to be announced or to be decided here, the time frame. We kind of don't know exactly, but it's usually for juniors specifically. And they will come, and we really advise that if they're interested, that they don't take it as a time to just kind of, get out of class, because it'll be about a 30-minute time frame where they can go and actually talk to the counselors in person, get some information. I remember there was a student here during that time, went there, was really interested in one of the schools that are in Fordham. She got a scholarship for volleyball. And I think a lot of it was because she was talking to the admissions counselor, finding out about it. She didn't even know that much about it at the time. So when there was a connection with a coach, she knew about it. She knew it was a Jesuit school. So we just want to promote that as much as possible. It's a fantastic resource that you have those schools coming in and talking with your students. Okay, and the last one is the Arrow. And that's something that we attend. Mrs. Keenan and I went to this it was spring, I think. And another great resource. Other schools are involved. They say Oregon, Washington, but a lot of times, correct me if I'm wrong, we have reps from Washington, but they're not necessarily just from the Oregon and Washington schools. We have some that come from all over the country. One in particular, I think, is New Hampshire, University of New Hampshire. Rep is out here. So that's been a great way to connect with other students and talk about these schools that we have reps locally here that they can kind of visit and get to know. So wonderful, wonderful resource in some of these things. Okay, Mrs. Irvin's going to talk about dual credit.
Sorry, I'm the tall lady here. So dual credit, this is a huge resource for our students. So most of you have probably seen on your students' class lists that they have these classes that have these looks like college credit, right? It might have big, bold capital letters and then 101 or 113, and then it has the class, that's the Bellarmine class next to it. That's where kids can earn college credit and Bellarmine credit simultaneously. So there's a big question, what's the difference between that and AP credit? How does that work? Well, AP credit, as most of you probably are familiar with, is where students take a course and it's accelerated, and then at the end of the year, they take the test, and based on the score they get on the test, they may be able to earn college credit. So if they get a 3, 4, or 5, and typically most schools now, it's 4 or 5. If they earn those scores, they might be able to earn college credit. With dual credit, they automatically are earning college credit. And our schools right now that we're working with are Central Washington University and Eastern Washington University. So they're able to get credits through those two universities. The question is, how does that work when they go off to college, right? I know that not all colleges are going to accept those credits. So if you already have a school that your student is interested in, it's very simple. You can either send them to their counselor and say, this is the school that I'm really aiming towards going to. How will that work with dual enrollment credits? Or you can say yourself, Google that school and look at how they accept those. So the way that we do that is we can look it up and we look at transfer credit policy. Whether it's college and the high school or if it's transfer credits from Central Washington University or Eastern Washington University. All schools have to list how they accept those credits. A lot of schools will take them, and what they'll do with them is the same thing that they do with AP credits oftentimes. They might use them as a placement, so they might say, okay, you took English 101 in high school, and we are going to now place you in, depending on, like, say kid's an English major, we might put you in the next level of English because you already took English 101. The other thing they might do is they might give that kid a waiver so they don't have to take their writing credit, which is typical of what happens with a lot of our students because they took senior comp and they did the simultaneous dual credit. When they get to college, they don't have to take writing. And speaking as a person who took my writing requirement as a senior in college, I was kind of sitting there going, why am I taking this high school level class right now when I'm a senior in college? It was so boring. If I had been able to take dual credit when I was in high school, I would have loved to have that opportunity. So it is great. I know there are some students that have been able to go on to colleges where they've been able to get 2 years worth of credit, which is amazing, but that's not the case for everybody. So you really need to do your homework on this or have your student come talk to their counselor. I'm happy to do the research. I know we all are, to help them look and see how those credits transfer. But it's pretty easy to look it up. So it is a huge opportunity though. So when your student's like, I don't know if I should pay this like $60, yes, pay the $60, just do it, okay? Here's all the dual credit opportunities we have this year. There will be more next year, but currently as of this year, this is all that we have. So, which I still think is quite expansive. American government, AP government, AP US history, and yes, even yoga is dual credits. You saw that, right? So these are all the courses right now, and like I said, there will be more next year. And the two schools that we're working with, Eastern Washington University, Central Washington University. So moving on from dual credit, which I think is a great opportunity, we're going to go on to additional activities and scholarships, which I know everyone's waiting with bated breath for. So something that's very, very important, I know Claire talked about holistic review, is other things that your kids can get involved in. Super important when people are reading, and I know that I've said this probably ad nauseum, but I also read for a university. Surprise, Claire. One of the things that we look for is what other stuff does your kid do besides be an awesome student and maybe play sports? But we want to see what else they're doing, right? So it's very, very important that you have a well-rounded student. Get them involved in stuff. If they're not involved in stuff now, get them involved in stuff. Here's some things that they can do. Clubs, right? There's lots of stuff. Student senate, student activities, leadership is key. If they're involved in leadership, that's awesome. Sustainability is a huge club. Colleges want to see that your kid is a good global citizen, right? They're trying to make an impression and make change on this earth. So sustainability is an awesome club to be involved in. Model UN, again, that shows that they're a global citizen. They know stuff about what's going on in the world. Ministry opportunities, campus ministry, there's always something that they can be involved in campus ministry, whether they're a lector or a Eucharistic minister. But they need to try and seek out leadership opportunities. Being a captain on their team is great, but maybe search for more. We're always talking about the modest, the more. Try to find something else that they can be a leader in. Maybe start their own club. That always looks great to colleges too. Community activities, there's all kinds of stuff. Summer coming up, there's going to be lots of opportunities to do summer programs at colleges. We used to be able to house that on Naviance. We can't do that right now with schoolings. I'm looking for a fix for that. But in the meantime, if they see emails from colleges that are like, this summer opportunity is coming up, some of them are expensive, but some of them aren't. So anything that they can get involved in at a college that they're interested in to do a summer program, great. Even if it's not a college they're interested in, if it's a field they're interested in, do it. Multi-care nurse camp is amazing. It used to be called multi-care nurse camp, now it's called MASH, I believe. But that's a great opportunity for anyone that's interested in a healthcare field. So that's something that they should be looking into. This is the time to start seeking out those opportunities now. I know it seems early in January, but start looking now. Anybody that's interested in biology, zoology, Point Defiance Zoo has lots of opportunities during the summer for volunteering. And any community service stuff. St. Leo's Food Connection always needs people to help. That's great. If they're looking for community service opportunities, they don't know where to start, right upstairs here, Ms. Frank's office, she can definitely start pointing them in the right direction. It's like right when you walk in those double doors across from the attendance office, she's a great place to start. So I already talked a little bit about educational summer programs, but here's some local ones that we have. Seattle U has a business institute every year. PLU has a summer session. There's math and science camps that are offered at YACA. You can always travel to colleges. Anytime that we get brochures from colleges that talk about their summer programs, I put them on the coffee table in our counseling department. There's like a cube that's right in front of the seating area. I put those there. Any kind of summer internships, whether it's through your company or maybe if they have a field of interest that they're interested in and you have a friend that works in that field, have your child hit them up and see if there's a summer internship. I know Ms. Wilson had a student that's interested in architecture. My husband's an architect. She drug me into her office and said, hey, I need to talk to your husband. Boom. Within like 3 days, we had that child an internship over Christmas break. So that's how it works. Traveling abroad, we have lots of programs that Bellarmine does to travel abroad during the summer. So if that's something that your child's interested in, get them hooked up. I know there's scholarships for that as well. Community service programs, we do the Shirts Across America trip, we do the Courts for Kids trips. So these are other opportunities that look awesome on a college application. So for scholarships, there's lots of different ways to approach scholarships, but one suggestion might be to open a separate email just for scholarships for your student because they might start getting tons and tons of emails if they start going onto those public websites for scholarships like Going Merry, FastWeb, Big Future. These are all services that will collect their emails and start sending them tons of email. But they have lots of scholarships on them. They are going to have more of the national scholarships. I know because I belong to some of these, so I get kind of emails every day. Washboard.org is one that's more local. It's Washington State scholarships. So if your student's more interested in Washington State schools, that's a useful one. But all of these are going to be national scholarship clearinghouses, okay? A spreadsheet's helpful. I love a good spreadsheet. But make sure that you're creating accounts with trusted free websites. All of these are trusted websites here. What I would recommend too is you saw school links on the feeder on the left side. Actually, this is your left here. You can see that there are running lists of like updates and there will always be scholarships listed there. All of those scholarships are trusted scholarships that are vetted by school links. And then there's also the local scholarships that I'm constantly putting in there as well. So that's a good place to start also. They should check those. It lists them by grade. So as a junior, there are some scholarships that are available to students to start applying for junior year, even now. And then when they're seniors, they'll have the opportunity to apply for some senior scholarships as well. And actually, that's when the majority of them are available. What I want to talk about too is WUI, before I turn it over to Mr. Scotty. The WUI scholarship is a big deal. And what that means is the Western Undergraduate Exchange. So that is a scholarship program that is for Washington, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, California, Alaska, Hawaii. And those are scholarships, I think Colorado might be on there too. Those are scholarships where if your student qualifies, and every school in these states has different WUI requirements, but what that means is that your students will be able to get in-state time plus 50% of the tuition in the participating schools. So that's another opportunity for a scholarship. We will talk more about that at senior parent night and at the end of the year because we will have a rising senior parent night. So don't feel like because I'm just glossing over this that I'm not going to talk to you guys about scholarships more. We have so much more information to give you. So please don't feel like, oh, that's it. We're not going to talk about it ever again. There's lots more. We'll have another night to talk about it again coming in the future, okay? With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Scotty for NCAA information, okay?
Okay, just with NCAA information, School Links is actually a great resource. If your student is interested in playing sports in college, let's say they're interested in a D2 or D3 program, or maybe even a D1 program. So what you can do is you configure the schools according to the sport. So let's say I played men's soccer at Oregon State. So you put soccer, you put football, whatever, and then it will show you a list of all the schools, and you can do it specifically for Washington or just across, maybe list all Division I schools that offer that program. And for the most part, it's I kind of use it a little bit. So for the most part, you can see quite a bit of information, and then from there, maybe you can go to the athletic website. So that's a wonderful resource. There's a few others as well. And one of them, if your student is interested in being a student athlete, we highly suggest that you register on the NCAA Eligibility Center website. Now there is a fee for that, but a lot of students are doing it their sophomore year. I've had quite a few students already start during their sophomore year, and then that's a good way for schools to track their progress. We also ask that they sign a release form in our counseling office. Generally, if your student is a sophomore, junior, they'll be under 18, and they're going to need a parent signature. Some of the students that come in and they decide to be a student athlete, even their senior year, some of them are 18, and they can sign it themselves. But so we ask that they do that. Anyone here have a student of yours who's interested in playing sports? Okay, there's a few. Oh, good. Okay, awesome. Okay, I'm gonna just go back real quick. So one of the things I want to just read before I go to the next slide is out of the 3 divisions, just some numbers here. There's NCAA Division 1, 2, and 3. There's also another organization called the NAIA, which is usually for smaller schools. And they do offer scholarships. NAIA, this is another league. There's over 200 schools that have athletics in that NAIA league. So just some numbers in the NCAA division. So there's 351 Division I schools, 296 Division II, and 433 Division III. Now just remember, Division III, if students are interested in going there, they do not offer athletic scholarships. They do offer mostly, and it says 80% of athletes receive non-athletic aid. So something to think about, a lot of students that go there. I had one student went to one of the top soccer schools in the country, and one of the top schools, actually, Washington University in St. Louis. So here's a student that came in, and he let me know, Mr. Scotty, he played soccer his whole life. And then his senior year, I just thought, oh, he's going to look for school. He said, I don't think I'm going to go. So this kid was an unbelievable student, too. And at the last sort of few months, he got recruited. He went to one of the showcases, got recruited. All of a sudden, he was going to go there, and he still contacts me to this day. And he lets me know I think he's going to be a junior coming up. But so things can happen fairly quickly. Another one that is a senior right now in gymnastics. Level 10 gymnastics, and wants to really dream is to be Division I. So a lot of times I tell students when they come in, you kind of have to advocate for yourself as well, because recruiting wise might not be relevant for you. However, coaches now are wanting students to reach out, sometimes through social media, Twitter, Instagram. You'd be surprised. The coaches are really open to that communication. So make sure if they're really interested that they don't just say, well, I'm not getting recruited, so I don't want to go. There's lots of things that you can do. There's another website called the NCSA. I'm sure people have heard about that, where you can actually sign up for your account, your own personal account, where coaches will contact you in that respect and kind of see your profile. You can put videos on there as well. It's kind of like all done for you. So lots of different ways to do that, to look and see, if they're really interested, and another parent that was really interested, I just advise them, there's tons of different schools that are available for that, so you just have to do some research, okay? And I can help with that. I have some websites as well, so if anyone of your students is interested in more, they can come talk to me. Okay, so that's just a recap. Beginning to research colleges, I think that's evident that we kind of covered. Encourage your students to set up their junior meeting with us after their finals. So after semester 1 finals, and we're going to start meeting with the juniors. I think we can kind of pass on almost the seniors. It's going to be junior time now. We're going to sign up for SAT at Bellarmine Saturday, April 17th. Or decide to test elsewhere and sign up on College Board or ACT. I told the juniors, by the way, I think we told them, this is a big thing to have your test here at Bellarmine. What a luxury. I remember my SAT, I was like, couldn't even find a place, it was foggy out, I was like, oh my gosh. To come here, it's a comfortable area, there should be less test anxiety. If students are kind of worried about this or that, you're going to be here, they're going to know people. I think that's a wonderful place to be to take your test. April 17th, give them lots of information before that about the preparation. You can choose a test prep option. Encourage your student to study. And wonderful resource with Tutors Across America, that March 15th and 17th, that's that 3-day weekend. Or individually, obviously Mimi Beck, she provides a lot of support for students. A lot of people have chosen her to work with. We're going to be scheduling college visits, okay? Most likely during the time when school's in session. And then staying informed and reading emails and newsletters. I know Katie Keene is putting together a lot of these newsletters and with our other staff. So these are wonderful resources. I know there's a lot of information that's probably overwhelming, but if you need any further information from us, feel free to reach out. And then just a big thank you for attending. We appreciate your time. And we'll see you again, though. We'll see you soon. The spring. The Rising Senior Night. You thought you got rid of us? No, you will see us again. And then, of course, during the fall, we'll start off the year with our Senior College Night. Okay? So thanks again for attending. We're gonna open up to questions now. If we have any questions specifically, we'll probably be up here too if you want to come up here. Or...